Good morning again, Scott here, known as Cantaloupe to some online, and I'm bringing another video to you on a subject that's interesting to me. It might be of interest to you or someone you know. And this is going to be my second reaction video to another video I just watched of the day. And I will talk to you in this one about Elon Musk and his comments about the American economy. I'll link the video below, and his comments aren't new in this video. He's voiced this view before, and I want to weigh in on it again. I've also spoken about this before, but he has the view that the problem with the American economy right now is that a tremendous amount of money is being paid towards the debt, the national debt, year over year on an increasing basis without any plan to resolve it by design. And he's accurate about that, as far as I know. I've looked into it a little bit, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and it's our hugest expense in this country for taxpayers at this time, more even than the budget for the U.S. military, which is saying something. The U.S. military itself is getting $10 trillion a decade on average, increasing also every decade. So there is a solution. And in his video, he is a little bit despairing. It sounds like he's saying the only plan he can think of that might work is to cause some kind of economic explosion with the development of AI and robotics that would create so much revenue and surplus that the debt could be paid down real quick. Like just, blitzkrieg, overwhelm it kind of thing. And I don't see that as being feasible, honestly, just because of the size of the debt. And I don't think he does either, which is why he's a bit, despairing about it. But I think that there's another option. He also mentions that the American people are programmed to, lean towards wanting democracy, lean towards wanting all of the values that people are programmed with in this country. And we all do receive kind of a standard package of programming. He says, as long as people are adhering to that, it's going to preclude possibilities like some creative, owner of the process, such as a king or a dictator, which we are all programmed to just despise on the surface. He says, without that happening, there's not really going to be a way to fix the problem. And he doesn't see that as being possible just because nobody wants it. So here's the thing. I want to talk a little bit about how Timothy Leary, you can thank Timothy Leary for this, I've mentioned this in other videos, used to dive deep into, psychedelic experiences. He saw the wiring under the board, so to speak, and he brought back with him a gem of wisdom that I've never forgotten. So for what it's worth, I want to mention this. He said, the truth, when told so as to be understood, will be believed. I want to say that twice. The truth, when told so as to be understood, will be believed. And what that means, you don't have to take it apart right this second, but it means that there's tremendous hope at all times if your problem is one of understanding and information. If it's one of communication, where somebody just can't understand the logic of something, if you find something that is true and helpful, because of Timothy Leary's wisdom, all it is a matter of communicating it, and suddenly people are on board if it is mutually beneficial. So I'm not concerned because I understand this principle. I'm a good communicator, so I feel like I have control of my situation for every problem that involves the potential of miscommunication. If there's a solution and it can be ascertained in any logical way, I'm not worried about it anymore. So the barriers he sees, my point here is the barriers and the despair that Elon Musk communicates boil down to people being unprogrammable because it's just the programming is too, widespread and generational. It's been ingrained for hundreds of years now. But even so, it is true that once people understand what you're trying to explain to them, the problem itself and the proposal, the solution, if it makes sense for them, they will believe it. They will get on board because it makes sense. You have to make it make sense. It's not just a sales pitch. This is where the truth becomes very important, where understanding that there is an objective truth versus an opinion becomes important, because understanding the truth itself is the starting point to solving any problem. You have to get to the basis of it. That's what science is all about. But I digress. So back to the subject of the economy. Fixing the economy, you don't need a dictator to do that. What you need is people to understand what is happening, first of all, to care enough about it to potentially change their lifestyles a little bit or be open to change, and to begin questioning the assumptions that got them into the mess to begin with. And there are a whole bunch of them, right? you know Understand that the reason we live the way we do in this part of the world is largely a result of propaganda that came out in the wake of World War II. This is a fact. The US government and its public relations departments, many of them, were freaked out by World War II. It scared the shit out of us. And at this time, the American dream was rolled out in earnest to everybody. It was, okay, you need to earn a living. We're just going to make that clear. And you need to get the white picket fence and the house and the family. And, some of this is instinctive, and they're, dovetailing with what people already thought, of course. And they're just drilling it in, reemphasizing everything, saying, but what you need to remember is that if you don't pay your bills, if you don't pay your taxes, especially, every single one of you who's able, you will die. And they're kind of trailing off before they say that last part, but you know what that means, right? If you lose your job and you're not independently wealthy, you're not retired, you're not disabled, and you're not a child, you have a problem in this country, don't you? Despite all the millionaires and billionaires, you have a problem still. You're gonna be destitute. You're gonna end up, homeless or dead or arrested, and that's expected. It's by design. And once people understand this, my point here is that once people understand that this is optional, this is not the only model of economics. Okay, in fact, it might surprise you if you aren't aware of communism and the conflicts in the past, 200 years in this country, that the vast majority of them have been between ideological thinkers, people wanting military power and economics that we have in this country at this time, versus, say like North Korea, China, Russia, historically, where they have a different idea. Okay, and we don't talk too much about this in this country anymore. It was a big threat in the 50s. You may have heard of the Red Scare. I don't want to digress again, but they don't mix very well. Communism and capitalism don't mix very well. And I'm just saying, we are in late stage capitalism. All you need to do is look around for the evidence of that. All you need to do is look around for, have you checked on the pharmaceutical industrial complex lately? Have you seen, what kind of things are going on? I mean, it's looking very dystopian, if you ask me. And that's just one example of thousands of examples everywhere you look right now. Capitalism doesn't work in the long run. It gives you a boost in the short run, but what you end up doing is manufacturing everything you possibly can, regardless of helpfulness or morality, and you sell what sticks. Okay, it is that simple. But unfortunately, after 100 years or so, it falls apart because you start selling things that hurt people. You start selling people things they don't want or need, and you start roping people into a way of life that it represents a circular problem. You're not spending any time with your kids anymore because you're spending all your time working, and your kids are being programmed in school so that they can spend their lives working, and on and on and on. This is all part of the design of our economic system, so that you will continue to pay your taxes, so that you will continue to fund the debt and the military especially, and we can preserve and protect our way of life. And the only reason is because the decision makers are living large. Let's be honest. It's because the people who are deciding which direction we go in have gigantic properties. They're living very comfortably, and it's all on tax money. Okay, it is. There's a whole world going on inside this country, a class within classes, and there's a world going on outside this country too. Okay, so what is the solution? Long story short, the rest of the world is kind of thinking the U.S. is full of shit right now, and with good reason. Okay, because we've been just going around kicking everybody's ass and stealing their stuff, to be frank, when we're not being just completely insulting to any unconventional ideologies such as communism and socialism. We're not even willing to talk about it or think about it. We're gonna aim our rifle at you if you even bring it up. Basically, you want to talk about communism? Well, we might just throw you in jail or deport you or wage war on your country. That's where we're at. That's where we've been at. So here's the thing: communism doesn't work the way they've tried it before. in a few minutes. Communism has failed, and they will tell you, oh, we don't do it because it doesn't work. There's bread lines. And shoot, I'm in a bread line once a week. Okay. And I'm not alone in that bread line. And I'm here in this country right now. We are not a communist country. So what are you telling me now? Saying that we're avoiding communism because it has bread lines? Historically, yeah, no, it did. After the CIA and the U.S. government took it apart, after they took apart the former Soviet Union, if we're being honest, they sabotaged it, threw a whole bunch of monkey wrenches in there, won the Cold War for a minute, and that's why communism didn't work, if we're being honest. Okay. There were some very good ideas underneath all that, if we're being candid and honest again. Communists aren't stupid. Okay, the historical big thinkers, they saw something. They saw something that was worth reaching for. That's why they tried to model their entire government and country after it. That's why they wrote lots of books about it. And granted, it did not work. But what are we doing? I encourage you to look around again. Look around again at our superior system here. And all you really need to ask yourself is how much exposure you're getting to those other countries. How much do you know about the alternatives? How much dialogue is going on about options and solutions? Or are you just one of those fat cats who's living large? The way I see it, that's where we're at. You're either being bamboozled and enslaved in this country, or you're living large and telling everybody to shut up. Okay, there's a whole world going on out there for the last time. There are other models, other options, and it comes down to subsidies. Okay, I'm not going to take apart a working communist model, but there are working models. They work fine. They just haven't taken root here yet. They have not gained traction here yet. Subsidies. Okay, so some kind of centralized or distributed management system where funding and revenue is given to essential businesses and individuals: food, shelter, clothing, internet, electricity, clean water, retirement, and education. Some kind of basic health care. And if you want something fancy, you got to earn that still. It's not complicated. You get the basics. If you want something fancy, if you want a mansion, you want a yacht, you want a boat, you got to work for that. You want a big, nice TV and a big, nice house, pick up a shovel or something. But you don't have to worry about dying necessarily if you're not able to work, if you're not cut out for it, if you don't have the patience or the wherewithal to be in an office. And at this point, you don't have a lot of choices left. The way I can see it, everything's falling apart. So you're going to either see the light, you're going to start looking at options, or you're going to die off. And there aren't a lot of other choices right now that I can see. So this is why Elon's getting sad about it. He thinks that the American people just can't see the logic. There's no way to communicate with them. There's no way to help them understand other possibilities, if they even exist. He thinks that the only option is to create some kind of explosion of economic growth that overwhelms our problems. I don't see that happening either, honestly, bud. That's not going to happen. There's a better option. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what a transparent taxation system would look like. Something that's actually built for the people, by the people, and of the people. Transparent being the word, where the people can actually look at where their taxes are going, figure out democratically, if they have to, what needs to happen, but have a government that actually serves the people, not just the government itself, because that's all we have right now. We have a bunch of Homeland Security assholes collecting gigantic paychecks off of the backs of ghetto workers. Okay, I'm sorry, that's what it is, and I'm mad about it. I am, and you should be too. Gone on for 14 minutes. Reach out if you like with questions or comments to whitehotrobot@gmail.com. Thank you.